Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us here today. And Head Coach Tom Sawyer also here. We're back in the studio for week 3 of the Tom Sawyer Show. Let's talk a little bit about Wayne State, obviously. Before I say anything, get your thoughts on how the game went against Wayne State this weekend.
Well, I thought the whole thing was awesome. One is just getting the win. That's all we really care about from our players and coaches' perspective is to get the W. But, you know, the whole game day atmosphere was awesome. True college football experience, I think, for everybody. And, you know, it felt like a homecoming game in our first game. So we hope to continue that. Obviously, the new addition of the Jumbotron and your partnership with us, I really think it adds to the enhancement of the viewing. But for us, we played well, we played smart, and we saw some maturity in our football team that we've been looking for, and I'm pretty excited about it.
You, as always, as a hallmark of this program, had a lot of different players take the field, 12 different receivers, several different running backs. You cycled in several different defensive players as well. What was it like to do this game one right out of the gate, get everybody some experience to get ready for the season?
Well, not every year is like that. We sure like it if we can, and this year is particular because of what we went through last year. You know, we had a lot of kids that were injured, like the two guests we have today. They were down, so that means other kids, you know, have the opportunity to go play. Well, now all of those kids have game experience. So when you put a new kid in the game, they've already got a game experience. They know what they're doing. They can play fast. We had just a few true freshmen that were out there playing, but when you have some depth and quality depth like that, it's really good for your football team because you stay fast for 4 quarters. And especially on the defensive side, defensive line, linebackers, those kids, you know, they get tired fast. And it was a long game, it seemed. And so it was good for us that the experience that we had last year is starting to show up already in games this year.
Let's start talking about the different facets of the game. We'll start with the offense. First couple of drives ended with field goals. Then you got your first touchdown. How do you feel things progressed with the offense during the game?
Well, I think it was okay. We're not happy with kicking field goals. From the offensive perspective, we have to score touchdowns. And we were in the red zone deep a few times, especially like the opening that you talked about. We got the ball in our playmakers' hands. Jake Blue's here. He touched the ball a bunch. You know, Javian and Sam, those guys were touching the ball. So we're getting the ball in the right people's hands. We just have to finish in the end zone. And so there's one little mistake here, one little mistake there. That's part of the first game. But where we are now compared to other years at the first game, we're way ahead. So offensively, I think that we showed that we can be explosive, and we just need to be more consistent. And it's simple. You get in the end zone, they add up a lot faster than field goals.
All right, one of those 12 receivers that we talked about was Dakota Matthews, and obviously we have to talk about him. He's a Winona product. First collegiate catch was a touchdown. That had to be a big celebration on the sidelines.
Yeah, it was fun for him. It was really fun to see him, you know, from the high school game, you know, playing in the state championship game to kind of disappearing for a year down at the junior college, and then to come home and make that transition. He has been great. He's been great to work with. Obviously made a tough catch in the end zone with the guy draped on his back, but he's a big target. You know, he's 6'5", got big hands, he can jump, and so he creates a matchup problem. When you have him in one spot and you got a kid like Jake Blue running around and Connor Schultz and those guys, I mean, it really creates a problem for the defense. So we need to continue to work on matchups, and we get defenders on a kid like Dakota that can't handle it. We're going to get the ball to him.
Jake Ballou, as you talked about, he was one of the top targets in the game. He had 6 catches. Talk about his performance as a receiver in this game.
Well, for him, I was just so excited to see him back. You know, last year when he was leading the country in punt returns, you know, obviously they weren't kicking it to him the other day, but most importantly, he's just out there running around being the kid that he is, and he's a special talent. He's in grad school now. You know, he's been here for 17 years. And, you know, but he really adds a dimension that we really need, and that's like every time he touches it, it could end up in a touchdown. So it was a start for him. It wasn't his best day yet, and we know that he's going to even get more and more.
I have to ask you about Sawyer Molly as well. You mentioned the touchdown that he had. There were a couple of times that he was overthrown or he's past the end line of the end zone, and he finally did get that touchdown. The speed that he has, you know, Bob Ernest in the booth, he liked to talk about watching him in practice and saying how fast he was. How impressed were you with his first game?
Well, first I was just going to play him because his name is Sawyer, but then I found out how fast he actually really is. No, the kid is he's one of the fastest kids we have on the team. He's a long strider, so as that speed builds up in a route, at the end of the route is when you see the separation. I think that Isaiah Hall will tell you, even in practice one day, he turned as a kid went by him, and nobody really goes by Isaiah. And he said, "Well, that kid's pretty fast." And I said, "He is." But he's a special talent and a true freshman, and he knows enough that he can be a weapon in a football game, and so we put him on the field, and he proved it right. The touchdown he did have was a tough ball because it was over his back shoulder, and he made an adjustment on it and caught the ball with a kid, about a yard behind him. So he's another big addition. He's another kid that can take the top off the defense, and then you got the guys that we've mentioned already running those underneath routes or right alongside him on vertical game really becomes a problem when you stretch the defense.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the running game. And obviously a moment where a lot of people held their breath was when Javian Roebuck went down. We were kind of watching him on the sidelines, had some ice on, then took the ice off. How's Javian right now?
He's doing pretty well. He went down, kind of hyperextended his elbow a little bit, but he was fine. It was in place. Doctors looked at it. I talked to them on the sideline. He'll get it checked out throughout the week, but right now we anticipate him playing on Saturday. So we'll see how it goes. And we have some other really good talent there. Sam Santiago Lloyd had a great game, and Landon Jacobson came in and scored a 44-yard touchdown. They hadn't played in a couple years, so it's fun to see those kids back on the field, and we're still pretty strong in that position.
Yeah, that was another player that came back from injury, and happy to see Landon Jacobson because he's been plagued with injuries over his career as well. And I think we had even mentioned in the booth, you just wonder what kind of career he would have if it wasn't stunted by all these injuries.
Yeah, and it's just, that's part of the game. And we have a lot of kids that have gone through this somewhere along the line. He's just been, kind of jinxed with happening, year after year, even back in high school. So, but I've never seen a kid in our program that has done so much to keep playing the game. We always talk about, play for the love of the game. Well, he does. And he plays it passionately, and he works hard all the time. I mean, there was never a doubt, even the third time that he couldn't play here at Winona State, that he wasn't going to play again. And the kid walked in the end zone with that touchdown the other day, and I went up to him and I said, "This is why you do it." And he was just, had tears in his eyes. So it's really pretty fun to see the excitement for a kid who loves football as much as he does.
We only left a couple minutes here at the end of the segment for defense, but obviously that's a big part of the team and has been over the last couple of years. Takeaways. Again, you got 2 interceptions from Cam Gavin, who's a guest today. You had David Smith come up with an interception. Talk about the play of the defense this week.
Well, it was really kind of a tale of two halves because, first of all, they ran for about 0 yards in the first half. So we really, the front seven with Devon Moore and Nick Pridgeon back and these guys, and then Gomez and La Liberty. I mean, it's going to be tough for teams to run the football, and that's a really advantage for us. Well, in the second half, they turned it up. They said, okay, we'll forget the run. We're going to throw it every down. And all of a sudden, we have 3 picks in the game. And Cam Gavin in center field back there, I mean, the kid's amazing. And, he didn't play a lot last year either. So when that kid started lofting him up, trying to get behind our defense, I go, okay, this is good for us. And they hit a couple. But at the same time, the one that David Smith had was deep in the red zone, brings it out to midfield. The next play, we scored a touchdown to Sawyer Malley. So that complementary football is really an advantage for us, and we expect that to continue as long as we keep kids healthy.
Talk about that fourth quarter. Obviously, you had some reserves in because the lead was up. They were able to score 20 points in the fourth quarter. Tell us, was there anything concerning?
There wasn't. I felt that we always had the game in hand. I didn't think we had any panic on our sideline, and we needed to get our kids some reps, and John Rumsa needed some time, and he did a nice job out there. It's an opportunity for kids to play. I kept looking at it. It's a 3-touchdown or a three score lead. We're not going to change anything. We're going to get kids experience and get those kids off the field so we make sure we're 100%, because it did get a little chippy, and we want to make sure that nothing happens to some kid and then he can't play next week. But our kids handled themselves as well as I can expect.
All right, and then the last thing would be special teams. Obviously, Paul Ortiz, you said at the beginning of the season, would probably be doing the punting and the kicking duties. He did convert 3 field goals and didn't have to punt all that much, which is obviously a good thing as well.
No, he did great. That's a lot for Paul, and it's a lot of responsibility, a lot of different things. I mean, we ran a pooch punt, we ran a rugby punt, he kicked field goals, he kicked off. That's a lot on a day, and he handled it really well, and he's really matured a lot, and I'm excited for him. And then the one that didn't get, we took points off the board because he went in motion. So as soon as he settles in and does it right, he'd have been perfect on the day. So I can't say enough about Paul and the responsibility that he has on our football team right now. And the guys are rallying behind him, and it's fun to see. But he's a true weapon.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show. When we come back, we'll keep talking about defense. Cam Gavin will join us right after this.
The Red Sox are 1 out away. And the Dodgers are down to their final strike. Here comes a 1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series. And the best team in baseball wins it all.
In the beginning, there was dial-up. Slow as syrup dial-up. When 3 megabits arrived, it felt like riding a cyclone with your hands in the air. Until 100 megabits sent you surfing with glee on a cavernous pipeline of bits and bytes. Which brings us to 1 gig. That's 1,000 megabits per second from HBC. We're about to break the internet speed barrier. Your home deserves the fastest internet. Get gigabit internet today from HBC. Internet redefined.
And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25. We're now joined by Cam Gavin. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
I got to ask you about coming back from injury. We've talked about this with a number of different players this year, and everybody is different in the rehab process and what they have to do to get themselves back for another season. For you, what was it like to come back this season after being injured last year?
It was hard at first to sit out a whole season and watch all my teammates ball, but it was easy with the rehab, having Stacy and all the good trainers in the room, and also with other teammates being hurt. It was easy for us to gel together and build our toughness. But then now being back is actually even better, because in the game it was great having the teammates behind me, coaches, and even the fans that were behind our benches. It felt really good to be back.
What's that like on the sidelines as an athlete, not being able to be out there and have to watch your friends, your teammates, everybody else out there? What are some things that you do to keep yourself in the game, or what do you learn about the game from the sidelines that you can put in place once you're back out there?
From being out, you can really pick up the game speed and see what the quarterback can see through his eyes from being on the sidelines, rather than what you would see from actually being out there. So which is easier, because I transitioned that into my game, and it was easy to see what the quarterback will actually see when I'm back. And then being on the sideline, it's easy because you can help your teammates a lot, because they might not see something in front of them that you can see from the side view, like I just said, and transition that into young guys building up their confidence. Like Kenny last year, it was easy to help him, tell him what to actually read and how it's going to progress into the game later on.
All right. Before you ask a question, I want to ask you a question about what he just said. How much do you encourage your players that are there on the sidelines to have a voice and to say, hey, I see something out there, you guys got to watch this?
Yeah, it's part of our program. I mean, the older guys have a true responsibility to take care of our young players. If they don't, they're not going to play, because that's how you build, the depth. That's how you build teamwork and the camaraderie that we have that's so strong on our football team. Is when Cam's out, he becomes another coach, or when Jake was out, he becomes another coach, and they know the game better, so share your knowledge. We say we never want to leave any of our knowledge in our offices or in their dorm rooms. Let's bring it out to the field. So with that, Cam, just talk briefly about playing center field. And I always say that and put it in baseball terms, since the Yankees are in first place.
Twins are too.
Yeah, that's true. But back there at center field, they're lobbing the ball up. What's going through your mind before that ball ever comes to you?
I mean, basically, I just hope the quarterback doesn't throw a perfect pass, and he throws a pass that's either too short or too high, because I know if it's a jump ball, I could go up over anyone and get it. But if it's short, I know the person running underneath the linebackers will make a play. But I just like being back there and seeing the ball actually come to me.
And then kind of a follow-up on that. Now you're in your 4th year here, really, at school, and how much has that experience and quality reps over the years in big games made a difference in you to be able to make those plays and to keep the guys around you in the right places?
Oh, it made a huge difference. Even with Andrew leaving, he taught me so much. Even with Mikey and them being on the sideline, they just tell me to, stay focused. And the plays just come easy now.
Yep.
Just knowing that the coaches are going to call great plays, put me in the right positions.
Very good.
You said you hope the quarterback will throw it high, and you showed that, I think it was your second interception. What is your vertical, and how high did you get in that interception?
I don't know, but I saw the picture, and it looked like I was almost above Vaughn. He was running at his maximum height, so it felt good to jump up there.
Very good.
Yeah, I was just going to say, going into this week, we have a quarterback that's a little bit more experienced than the freshman you just played against. and you're playing against a really good Sioux Falls team. So what do you think in the back half, the secondary, with you and Isaiah and Romo and the guys, what do you have to do to really get ready for a much bigger football game this week?
We definitely have to stick to our role because they might try to lull us to sleep with the run game and hit us with a play action. So I know we just really have to be patient and do what we're told to do.
Okay.
Because if we don't, anything can happen. In the
Absolutely.
Do you have any goals that you have set for this season? Does the defense have any goals that they've set for this season?
Really, we just want to hold people under 14 points because I know our offense can go out there and score points. But really, if we stop people from running, which they do up front, us four will take care of it in the back.
All right. And then talk a little bit about everybody else coming back from injury. What's it like to have that whole unit come back and to be playing out there alongside those guys again?
It's a force. Like, it's just fun. Like, we all know that we're a great defense in Division II. We're the top defense. So, I mean, we're just confident, and it just shows on the field.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us here today, and good luck this week and the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show. When we come back, Jake Blue will join us right after this.
Is someone in here with us?
Ghost Hunters is back with a new team, better tech, and more answers.
This is my favorite part of the night.
We had to flee our home.
I've been doing this for 30 years. I chase the truth. Only with the truth can I truly help someone. Whoa!
Ghost Hunters returns Wednesdays at 9 on A&E.
Elevate your home entertainment experience with gigabit internet and Elevate TV from HBC. Watch all your favorite local programs on your TV or any connected devices. Use apps and share media between devices. Get instant access to video on demand. Experience a better whole home DVR solution. Stream 4K, surf, share, and game, all at the same time. And with GigaHome Wi-Fi, experience whole home coverage and the same gigabit internet speeds and reliability in every corner of your home and beyond. Call HBC today at 888-474-9995.
And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show on HBC TV 25. Jake Blue now joins us. Thanks for being here today.
Of course, thank you for having me.
First question, same thing I asked Cam. You know, everybody's different in injuries. What was the injury process like for you to come back this season?
I mean, it was tough. You know, it was difficult being out for a whole year. Obviously, it was very unfortunate that it happened. But kind of like Cam said, there was a bunch of us, sadly, that were all kind of in the same boat. And we all had a very good bond together, and we all had one goal to get back healthier than we were before. You know, bigger, faster, stronger was the mindset. And I think you got a little glimpse of that last Saturday when we all kind of came out and we did our thing. And, you know, we went out there and we got the W, which was awesome.
All right.
You know, I think going back a little bit, Jake, now that you're in grad school, just tell the people a little bit about how difficult that is. You know, that you obviously have 2 more years with this year and next year, but what kind of decision making does that go when your undergrad is done? You have a degree, and now you got to go to grad school. You have to play. But what are your thoughts to that transition?
It was definitely an interesting situation I'm in, you know, kind of like you said, with being hurt and everything kind of that ties into that. And I was in a weird situation with all of my credits and kind of getting everything done, so I had to do a little bit more this past semester in the spring as well in the summer to be able to completely finish it all, to be able to start my master's this upcoming fall, in which I will finish here since, like you said, I do have next year of football, which I'm very thankful for with the medical redshirt from last year, which is awesome. So it's been wasn't kind of the expectation that I was going to have for being here, but obviously it all worked out, and I'm very grateful for where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
I got to ask you about the play on the field. You know, you're more into the wide receiver position this year, and then you also have the return duties. We said you caught 6 passes this week. What was that like to be a main target as a wide receiver?
I mean, it's awesome. You know, Owen's out there leading us to the charge. You know, the O-line's out there giving him plenty of time to go out there and do his thing. He's going through all his reads, so it was awesome that I was able to get as many targets as I did, and with the ball in my hands, you know, I'm trying to score. Doing everything I can to help the offense get us, you know, 1 yard closer to getting that end zone.
All right, and then the question about the return game. Obviously, through your first couple seasons, you showed your skill with that. I think you're the 2nd leading punt returner in school history already, with another year left to go. But that's a double-edged sword, because now teams are going to kick away from you. They don't want any part of you. That's got to feel good on one hand, but on the other hand, you want the ball in your hands, right? So what does that feel like to see that you're lined up for the punt and then they kick away from you?
I mean, to a point, like you said, it's a compliment. The things that we've done as a unit and a punt block unit the last couple of years have been truly astonishing. Like you said, we definitely want us to punt the ball. You know, we're trying to get the offense in the best situation possible to score. You know, we're able to try to make plays. Our special teams are outstanding here. but in a way it also is also another compliment because they are putting the ball out of bounds. We're also getting the ball, midfield, which is a great situation for offense to start off, and the chances and the percent go up even more every time, the closer we are to scoring. So it's awesome.
Going back to Saturday's game, looking at some of the young kids we had 3 guys that did score touchdowns. That was their first touchdown, including Tyler Knutson as well. But you're the leader of that group. As a guy that's been older, you and Connor Schultz really are running the show. How cool is that for you to see younger guys, even though you'd rather be you, I get it, but how cool is it that they're under your tutelage as the leader of that group?
I think it's truly awesome. If you watch it on film and everything like that, you see all the wide receivers are the first ones there to go celebrate with them. Everyone was flying to the ball, flying to celebrate with them, and we were the first ones on the sideline to congratulate them. It's truly amazing. Scoring a touchdown in high school is one thing, but to get your first one in college is truly a huge achievement for them. And it's the first of many in their careers, and it's truly awesome to be a part of it and only see where they're going to go from there.
The other question I have is, you really use you a lot of different ways. We're trying to get you the ball in space and in middle of zone defenses and those things, but you're coming out of the backfield, you're running reverses, you're running routes, you're punt returning. How do you plan for a busy day as that you have?
I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest with you. I'm just trying to do my 111th out there, and as an offensive unit, we have a great O-line. Start with Carter Berlin, the leader of that group, and they're getting their job done, pass block and run block, and Owen leading us, calling the plays, making sure to get the mic lined up. And then going back to our wide receiver unit, which is truly amazing. We got young guys to old guys that out there making plays. So I think it's awesome that we're able all together, just one great bond to be able to be a big powerhouse, I think, this year, which is awesome.
Very good.
One of the things that we see you doing on campus is during basketball games, kind of game management and that sort of thing. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that and what goes into that, what your responsibilities are there.
It's actually one of my work study jobs I'll be able to accomplish. I work with Jordan Holdsworth, which is a great boss of mine. But it's just one of those things that it's also cool for me to be able to bond with other sports and other athletes, to be able to work together and to be able to watch sports. I'm a huge sports guy, as you can kind of tell. Yeah. But to be able just to watch and help out and help the university and other sports teams and create even friendships and more connections is one of those great things about college, and which will hopefully help me further down in life.
All right, last question that I have then, Sioux Falls coming up. What are some of the things that the offense needs to do to be successful against Sioux Falls?
One of the big things, like Coach kind of mentioned earlier, is we need to score. Field goals are nice and all, getting points on the board are big, but 7 points add up a lot quicker than 3. And that's one of those things where we need to fix some things up in the red zone, which I think we can do, and we have the guys to do it. It's just one of those things that we need to finish. And other than that, we just need to stick to our game plan. Start prepping now. It's going to be a good week, a good long week. We got to execute. We got to be perfect. And I think it's one of those things that we're going to be ready to go Saturday, and can't put it more better than that.
All right. Well, thank you for being here, and good luck this week.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
All right. We're going to take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show. When we come back, we'll talk about the opponent, Sioux Falls. That's right after this.
50 pound of baby backs, 50 pound of brisket. Throw in another 50 pound of those chops, too.
What are you boys up to?
Road trip.
Barbecue Pitmasters is here and better than ever. We're searching for the new taste of America's top barbecue regions, where we'll put the best to the test.
If you could taste it right now, you'd be in hog heaven.
Barbecue Pitmasters, Saturdays only on Destination America.
I hope we have a child seat for this.
Flavor Town Market, the arena for his legendary games, where chefs race to shop, their carts speeding like chariots. Courageously, they battle in games such as 5 ingredients or less, Frozen Food Feud, and the Food Wheel. All yearn to taste victory.
Oh, that's crazy.
But only one will be a champion in the aisles of Guy's Grocery Games. All new, Wednesday night at 9.
You guys will fight?
On Food Network.
Okay. And welcome back. Last few minutes of the Tom Sawyer Show here on HBC TV 25. Let's talk a little bit about Sioux Falls, the upcoming opponent this week. Last year, it was a very close game. You were both nationally ranked in the top 20. This year, or before the poll comes out, as we tape, you're both receiving votes. Sioux Falls had a difficult time this past week, but they were missing a couple of players due to injury. Like you said, you don't know what that's all about. Do you have any idea of what you're going to face against Sioux Falls, or do you kind of have to wait for the injury report to see who's going to be available?
No, we expect that their best players are going to play.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going into the game. They were on the two deep. A couple of the guys, especially Gabriel Watson, he's an All-American. He was a Harlan Hill finalist last year. He's a tremendous back. Very similar to Rayon Simmons that we had a few years ago, where he can change a game. And he didn't play last week, but he's on the two deep, so we expect that he's going to play. And so we got to go in knowing that their guns are loaded. They're coming off a loss. They're now playing at home. And so we know we're going to get their best football game, but that's what we want. That's what the league is. They've been a traditionally really solid and very good program, so we expect that. And it's kind of our first championship fight, and so we're looking forward to it. When you got experience like we have right now, we sprinkled in a few young guys, but these guys have been on this trip many times. We go there every year to Sioux Falls, whether we're playing Augustana or the University of Sioux Falls. So the trip is really kind of fun for us. It's a routine trip for us. So, we'll practice hard, we'll prepare, and we know that what's ahead of us, and we'll be prepared for it.
Is there any preparation that has to be done for the younger players, freshmen, or people that are just coming into the program who maybe haven't taken a road trip like that? Because that and maybe Wayne, Nebraska are probably the longest trips that you have to take. In order to get them ready for something like that?
Not really. The kids that we have going on the bus right now, one of them, offensive line kid, a freshman, will travel this. He's from Mesa, Arizona, so he's already used to being away from home. And Sawyer Molly will travel with us. From Wanakee, Wisconsin. They covered a big spread in their playoffs. Maybe not 4 hours, but similar. Mm-hmm. So, but the biggest thing is, it's fun. I like going on the road. It's just us and the team, and it's a bonding time. We eat good, we have fun, and we usually play pretty well on the road. So I just think that the prep part of it is just the bus rides, but they've had a little bit of experience of that, but they're looking forward to it.
All right, you talked about the players that go on the bus, and for those that might be new to the show or might be new to the program, your roster is smaller when you go on the road than what you have here at home, and you had so many players get some experience this week and really show what they can do. How difficult is it to pare down that roster to your traveling roster?
It's the worst time of the week is Thursday when we have to make that decision. We can only travel 58 players. And we bring 3 specialists, so you start looking at, okay, well, it's down to 55 now. So, offense gets 26 or set 27, defense gets 27. There's one other guy. And usually a lot of that comes down to their abilities in the special teams and what value each kid has that particular week. And then injury plays into it, and so we have to factor in all those things. But that's the way it is in the league, and we're used to it, but that's a tough decision because we're going to leave some pretty good players at home, and there's nothing we can do about it because that's the rule.
All right, we already talked about Javian Roebuck. Anybody else on the injury this week, or were you pretty good this week?
No, thank the Lord. We're in good shape. I got to talk with Stacy, on Sunday, and it was a pretty small crew in the training room. You always get some nicks and knacks from games, but everybody was at our yoga session on Sunday, and look forward to having everybody in practice on Tuesday.
All right, and then last thing here is your dinner, or luncheon, this week. Tell us a little bit, that's going to continue again this year.
Yeah, it's going to continue. We had a really nice crowd last week. It's at noon at the Riverport Inn, and with Mike Rivers and the Rivers Hotel Group that sponsors that for us. It's amazing. Again, it's just like this show. It gives kids an opportunity. I don't know who's going to be our guest yet, but we just had a $100 dinner at the Elks Club last Friday night. That was well attended. The support that we're getting in the Winona community right now, Justin, is amazing. A lot of things, the program's growing. People are enjoying our product. We have great kids, and Thursday luncheon is just another way for us to show off those kids.
Yeah, and there was a great crowd on Saturday. I'm sure that next Thursday night will be a pretty good crowd as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Playing under the lights, and we're going to be on, both, HBC and regional TV with Midco Sports. So it's just fun playing under the lights. The Jumbotron will be awesome. We got Upper Iowa coming in here that night, and we know we got to get after those guys. So, we've got lots of fun things ahead of us, and right now we got to go 1-0 this week.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and good luck this week.
Thanks. I appreciate
All right.
it.
Thank you for joining us here for the Tom Sawyer Show. We'll see you next week here on HBC TV 25.